All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host for this morning's session, Benny Allen, along with my awesome partner, Mr. Ryan Carthage. And we're definitely happy and grateful for each and every one of you being here with us today as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we could take advantage of in this Forex market. So without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage as we look to close out the year. So if everybody can hear me loud and clear as always, do me a huge favor, drop me a 1 in the chat. Let me know that you are all ready to go for this morning's session, and we can get things started. All right. I see the ones coming in. Good morning, everybody. Glad to have you all here. All right, so let me jump out of this screen and go over to trading economics. And so we can see what we have going on here. So we can see that European stocks near multi-year highs. So, I mean, I've seen this multiple years now. It seems like in December, right? We get that rally in the stock market, right? So don't know if that's a trend, have to go back and do the research, but it seems like that, right? So we've got European stocks near multi-year highs. What we had, right? Brent crude falls for the second session. And then we've got the dollar languishes on Fed rate cut bets. We'll take a look at that, look at the dollar, look at some levels on the DXY. But here, right? Retail sales, one of those key fundamental factors for Japan. The retail sales rise 5.3% in November. So we see retail sales in Japan rose 5.3% year on year in November 2023, accelerating for the first time in 3 months following a downwardly revised 4.1% gain, right? So we saw, especially with there's not a ton of liquidity in the market right now, being that it's the holidays, but we definitely saw a correction with that yen yesterday. But at the same time, we got Japan industrial output falls less than expected, right? So industrial output falls less than expected, decent, and the retail sales number came through strong. We see in Spain that retail sales rise slightly at a slightly lower pace. So you can see here the slight contrast there, right? So decent data coming out of Japan, and we saw that move in the yen yesterday after we closed out our session. So we'll take a look at that. Clicking over to the Forex factory, we've got here we go. Thursday, we've got unemployment claims for the United States at 8:30. We've got pending home sales month over month, and then we've got crude oil inventory. So we'll keep an eye out on that at 11 a.m. But other than that, pretty light, right? Again, we're in the holiday season looking to close out the year, and this is how it goes at the end of December. Ryan, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, bro. I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Oh man, doing great. Closing out the year. Blessed to be here as
Yes,
always.
sir.
Yeah, yeah. Anything on the fundamental front for you? There's not much, but
No, sir. Just that day that you just mentioned about the yen. That's it.
yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. So moving over, taking a look at the DXY, right? We can see, right, that dollar is just tailing off. Interest rates are so important. Okay. And when it comes to currencies, inflation, things of that nature. And we can see that just on investors betting that Feds are going to cut rates, a lot sooner than later. You can see that dollar is taking a slide, right? So we think here in the Forex trade room, it really, you know, helps us out, right? Helps our inner circle family to know exactly why something is happening. We can see technically on the chart that dollar has taken a complete nosedive, but it is because that can help you to determine, is this a short-term move or is this a longer-term move? What's really going on with it, right? So we're coming into some key support levels on the dollar. It's made a strong move to the downside. If we come into the 4 hour, you can see where we didn't get that 382 pullback, almost got there, but we are now sitting at key daily support, and we are in the 80-20 zone on the 4, right? So the market continues to make those ABCD waves. So now it's just a matter, right, as we close out the year to see if there's going to be any uplift for a correction in the dollar after this long downward spiral, right? We can see our previous AB boundary. We can see how price turned over and it took out the A, right? So we've got a shift, right, in that trend. And now we're heading towards the downside. So it's a matter if price wants to settle in the zone on this current fib on the 4 prior to hitting a D extension. Do we get a correction to the upside, right? And so we shall see, right? If we get price to pull back to retest some levels that it broke through or to move higher for a higher correction before possibly continuing, back down. Okay. We know the dollar has been strong for quite some time, right? So it was due. It was due, right? So let's see what happens. But that's where we are, right? That's where we are. And as a result, right, we'll take a look at some of these dollar pairs here in a moment to see how some of our positions are going, right? C to D moves and things like that as we go through this session. Any questions in regards to the fundamentals or anything? No. All right, so let's get through. So we'll take a look at. I know yesterday we were looking at the pound cat. We spotted an 80-20 on this pound cat setup, and we can see here that we are still climbing towards the target. Okay, so we saw that on the session yesterday, right in our 80-20 zone. Okay, area that we like to trade when we're talking counter trend. So you can see, right, we came in right at that 80-20 zone. Really, really good structure there. We had a daily support level at 167.61. And right now we are trying to climb to that target, right? So we've got about 67, 68 pips left on that move. Maybe we get a correction, a pullback before we before we finally hit that TP1. But that's where we are on the pound CAD. Any questions on that?
No, sir.
No. All right. So off that level, is moving pretty good for, over 100 pips. That's pretty good for where we are with the market right now towards the end of the year, right? So the 80-20 still doing this thing. See if the impulse move there. Wondering what we look like from a Fib perspective, right? Just broke that AB boundary. Yeah, so pretty much the same. So maybe we get a correction and a pullback before we hit that target. Maybe not. Again, like 67, 68 pips left to go on that move. So that's that. So let's jump up, right? Take a look at our dollar pairs this morning. Right. Since the dollar, right, is the world's reserve currency right now, and it is heading south. So let's take a look at it. So if we come in here and we take a look at this Aussie dollar, we can see just from a weekly perspective, we've been heading long. We've got a key monthly level coming up here at 68.96. We'll drop through the time frames and see if there's any levels in between there. But this is what it looks like from a weekly perspective. Beautiful U-turn. We got a break and a retest at 65.21. You guys can see that there. If we zoom in, take a look at it. And then we've got that push up towards that monthly level. If we come down to the daily, yeah, we do have some daily levels in between, right? Before we get to that monthly level. And we can see off this swing, off the lows, off that U-turn, it's a beautiful ABCD move, right? So we didn't quite get to a 50% pullback, didn't quite hit our buy zone on the daily, but we ranged and we broke out, right? Huge sign right here, right? We ranged and we broke out and we closed above that 66.18, and it's been moving bullish ever since. If we come down to the 4, zoom in, we can see how we completed our ABCD wave, right? Look how that pulled back to structure right at that 61.8. That's a textbook move, and we ran right into our D extension right here. Beautiful ABCD move, okay? And now we've got a new AB boundary, and the game begins again, right? So our 4-hour stochastic, right, our momentum, right, it slowed to the upside, okay? And now we've got a shift, right, in momentum. But I wonder, right, if we could push up to that 80-20 zone and test that 68.96 level. That's where I would love to see this pair go, right? If we can get one more push, one more cycle up to take out the high and push into that 80-20 zone to see if then price wants to correct, right? So we were looking at the 1 hour before. We were saying, hey, that 4-hour D extension is going to get hit. Maybe, just maybe, right? We finally get confirmation, right? So this was our 4-hour D extension that we had labeled here before. Starting to reset a lot of my charts for the new year. 4-hour 1.618 D extension here. And we were saying, well, maybe it'll hang, right? This 1 hour 80-20 that we had that had potential, right? We got the breakout, it pushed into the zone and it stalled a bit, but then it just continued, right? Dollar's too weak, right? Everybody's making a run on the dollar. So it pushed to our D extension on the 1. So we got a range and a breakout to the upside, right? We got a range and a breakout, came down, but then it continued, right? It basically retested, right, this range that it broke out of right at our B boundary. So we got a retest there, okay? I mean, we broke out here, and then we moved up, and you can see how we had another range. We know when we get that range, it's going to choose a direction. And it broke down, right, out of our 80-20 zone. Here was our 80-20 zone here. So we got price to stall out, which is what we like to see. But this one just didn't go the way we wanted to, right? We wanted to see a correction, but the fundamentals are strong against that dollar right now, okay, with everybody betting on the rate cuts. And so the momentum's been strong, right, against that dollar. So we can see here that it broke down, but it just came to retest this previous breakout point, right? See how it retested that range, previous range, and then we just took off and accelerated. So now we have a new AB boundary on the 1. Again, here's that 68.96 level. It's kind of looking like the 4, sort of, in that regards. So we'll see, right? If not, okay, we'll see if we can get that one more push up and then see if we can get a bounce, right? We see that the DXY, right, is at key level of support. On the DXY, we've got an 80-20 scenario on the 4. So maybe, right, if we can get that push up, that would be nice. And then get a correction with some temporary dollar strength to push it down. If not, right, if this corrects off this level now, okay, then we just look. Right, we look for an area in our buy zone, and then a potential long situation. Right, that's what we'll be looking for, like so. Right. So it's either going to make that correction now, we look to get long, or we get that 80-20 push that we need. Right, same scenario whenever we have a new AB boundary. That push that we need, and then that move back down. Okay. Any questions on the Aussie dollar?
Oh, no, sir.
All right, cool. So let's move on down. Take a look at this Euro USD. Okay, it wasn't too long ago that we were talking about the cup and handle that formed um, on this Euro USD on the 4-hour, but we'll run it from the top down. Okay, beautiful swing. Okay, we saw the Aussie dollar form that support and got long on us, right? Doing it from the top down matters, everybody. Right? Look at that pullback. Now, if we come down, take a look at our daily, you can see how we're running long, right? We're pushing long. Okay. 111.49, right? We were talking about this 110 level before, right? Was it going to hold, right? We were looking back left. Was that going to hold, right? Potential crown scenario. But look how it pushed right through it. Fundamentals, right? No technical structure that'll stand in the way of a fundamental occurrence, a strong fundamental occurrence, right? It's both technicals and fundamentals. We can see that we continue to push long, right, through that 110.66 level. And then that played right into our swing on the full, right? So you can see again where we had our cup and handle. And you can see the handle. Look how that took off. From there, we're headed to the D extension. Blasted through 110.66, 111.49, right around that D extension, right? So that one's coming in right on the money on that swing. And we were talking about how on a lot of these pairs, these dollar pairs, all had that same bullish candle stick, right? That came and broke the range, and we can see how it continued, right? So that cup and handle formation played out, and we are headed towards the D extension. Any questions on the euro dollar?
No, sir.
All right. So that's a nice move there, right? On that swing. So coming out of that zone, right? Over 300 pips. Okay. Just letting it run. We'll take a look at the pound dollar. Okay. Look at the daily. So here we are. We were talking about this not too long ago, right? And we were saying, hey, there's a potential for a crown here since we broke the low. Right. And we were wondering, right, was that going to settle down? Was the dollar going to eventually find its way again to the upside? And we said, hey, we've got a low that was taken out. Price took out the A. We broke trend line. Price took out the A. We pulled back. We identified a potential left tip, the right tip. We said, hey, at that time, it can go back to retest, right, that high. And that's exactly what it's done. That's exactly what it's done. So we don't know, right? Even though the dollar started to find that support on the, that we looked at to start the session, right? We can see that we've pushed beyond that high, right? So we may continue long against that dollar. We'll see. But if we come down here to the daily, we can see how it stayed. Look how it broke our downtrend line. And then look how it's just moving. Right? That's just a clean move. Okay, clean move. And our daily stochastic is in the buy zone. So if we come to the 4, this is where we had our huge setup. Okay? And it seems hard to believe, right? When you first put your eyes on it, that man, what a 431 pip move potentially. Hey, look, here is that bullish candle, right? That we just saw on the previous Euro USD pair, right? And this is why we go through, right? And we see, right, the similarities, in the pairs, right? So here's a dollar cross where we've got that bullish engulfing that pop right off that 61.8, and we moved long. Right? Just saw it on the Euro USD, Aussie dollar. We're seeing it across the board. That's why we take a look at all of the currency pairs, right? Because it's about patterns, right? It's a pattern driven market. Okay. We have to remember that. Fibonacci, right? The sequence. Mathematics is really about patterns. Right? When you break it down, and what is math, right? It's about patterns. So it all comes together. We teach what we teach for a reason. But here we are. This is continuing long, right? So it's just a matter, do we want to correct? Right? Do we want to correct it, then continue? But that is moving along its path. On the Euro USD, you've got over 300 pips. This one has moved quite a ways. It's looking like it's headed towards that 431 pip target or so. And we'll just continue to monitor this position. Any questions on the pound dollar?
No, sir.
All righty. Moving on down, right? Look at the NZD, USD. Okay. Again, the US dollar is the counter currency, right? So we should have an idea, right, on which way this is moving. Okay. On which way this is moving. This is actually a new swing here. I need to get this updated like so. Okay. But we can see where we got that support and that swing, that move up. Okay. And so the key, like with combining fundamentals and technicals, is that if we get a we need to adjust that now. If we get a solid grasp on the fundamentals, oftentimes, right, we can have an idea in regards to what direction our chart should be moving just based off of what we know fundamentally. Okay, so you can see across the board, we know the dollar has been moving south, right, due to interest rate cut bets, right, beginning part of the year. And so we are moving long, so we can see that is doing just that. So that helps us in regards to what everybody determining, right, from a fundamental perspective, our direction, then coming to the charts and technically determining our direction. And ultimately, that helps us to determine which way we want to deploy our fibs, right? Deploy our fibs. So on this one, we got a 382, and then this one just exploded, right? We never even got a pullback, right? We never got the pullback that we were looking for to a deeper level, but we exploded, right? We went long off the 382. So the direction is right. Didn't hit my sweet spot, at least on that. Okay. Didn't hit my sweet spot on that. And so we can see here on the one, we have a new AB boundary. So do we get, right? Similar scenario, right? Do we get that correction now off that B boundary? Right? And we come into our key levels here and we look to continue long against the dollar. Yeah. So do we get a temporary correction in the US dollar to force this price to move down and then a continuation, or do we get to move, right, to where we come into an 80-20 scenario? Right. Same thing, right? We always say that the new AB boundary is the bat signal. We should know what to do. Once we see that new AB boundary, we should know what our scenarios are. And it really keeps things simple. It keeps us out of the mess. I don't care about all of these smaller waves and all of this, back and forth. We stay very structured, very disciplined, right? And we adhere to the price action within this AB boundary. Any questions on the NZD USD?
No, sir.
That's where we are. Okay. So we flip things over and we come to where your US dollar is your base currency. Right? Very, very, very simple. Right? So we would expect, right? There's a high probability that these are moving the opposite way, right? Moving down, right? So here we are. Okay, we can see how we're pushing, right? Pushing to get back down to the bottom of that range from a weekly perspective. Right? Does that keep things simple? Yes, no, right? Right, right. Keeps it very simple. Keeps it very simple. Okay. And so we can see that this is moving down. So we could come to our daily, we run a fib from the top, right? Just to see, right? We run right into an extension there from the top down. Huge move. We've hit a D extension. Okay. Now listen, we hit a D extension on the UCAD. We know that, hey, the DXY is hitting some pretty key levels in regards to support. DXY, we had an 80-20 on the 4. So maybe we start to see some relief, right? We get some pushback from the US dollar. I don't know, my charts are all jammed up here. So I need this one to be a 4. I think I did this in my phone. Right. So yeah. So here's our 4 hour. Get this cleaned up. So here's our latest on the 4, right? And we know that it just kept running, right? And that's one of the things that we learned about, right? Understanding the fundamentals when you have a strong fundamental occurrence like we had with the dollar, with the Fed coming out dovish, right? And then the bets started to pile up in regards to um, rate cuts. When you come to the technicals, right, that can cause where price just keeps running and we don't get those corrections that we like to see on those 80-20. So we have to keep that in mind and say, hey, well, something strong is happening to the dollar fundamentally. We want to make sure that we use additional confirmation. So maybe we change our plan up. So if you're a type of trader that trade small and you limit into positions and it says, hey, when it hits the zone, I'm gonna let the trade activate. Maybe you shift there and you say, you know what, I'm gonna wait for some additional confirmation on these dollar crosses because the fundamentals have been so strong against the dollar, right? So you see how this one came down to our 80-20 zone on this previous fib. Here's what I'm talking about now, not the one that's highlighted. And we can see how price, right, we hit the zone and then it just kept pushing through to the D extension, right? So just some nuggets there. Now, again, DXY, we've got price settling down on the DXY. We've got an 80-20 scenario on the 4, and we've got an 80-20 scenario here on our 4-hour fib on the UCAD. Okay, so this is one to keep an eye on, right? It's Thursday, Friday, market slowing down, all that good stuff. But just like on our pound CAD, right? This is the dollar CAD. We got that move. Okay. So this is another one here that we want to keep an eye on this dollar CAD to see, right? Can we get a trend line break? Can we get some momentum moving up, right? Be careful, right? We've got a stochastic here that's way, right? We don't have it aligning quite yet, right? But just continue to watch this one and see what happens. Maybe it continues to push sideways for a while and holds below these levels. Then all of a sudden we get that move. But use additional confirmation. Use your cloud, use your trend line breaks or whatnot. Our stochastic here, the momentum is overbought. Okay. So any questions on the pound CAD? I mean, on the dollar CAD. I'm sorry. Misspoke there. Nope. All right. So we need price, right, to make its way up. Even if we're looking at short, we need that price to move in that direction for a high price. I don't want to short it to an extension. Right? I don't want to short it to the extension. I want a high price. Okay. All right. So that's the dollar CAD. Let's take a look at the dollar Swissy. Okay. We talked about it yesterday in regards to um the Swiss franc and the strength that we're seeing, and why, right? They're buying back, they're buying back Swiss francs, depleting their foreign currency reserves to help them protect against volatile commodity prices. And we can see, right, this is a perfect storm. Weak dollar, stronger Swissy, and it's moved down, right? So we're coming into a key level, 83.04. We'll take a look at our daily. Look at that. It's moving down. We've even created an inner trend line here. Okay, so let's look at the daily and put some scans, some fibs, and see where we are. So we just came down on this main fib here. I'll trace over these like that. Get rid of those sub fibs. So you can see how we pushed up Okay, pushed a little higher. We initially got a 382. Look at that. Look how it still swung, right? We barely got that 382. Look how it pushed below in the 80-20 zone, just below it, and it pushed back, right? Came back and said, we want to take back 50% before falling to that D extension. And look what happened, right? So we got the ABCD wave to play out there. So just know, right, we're hitting a higher time frame D extension. Okay, right? Think about it. Price is starting to settle a bit on the DXY. Okay, look here. Okay, we're getting close to that D extension. We may hit that. Okay, but our 4-hour stochastic is in the buy zone, so we're looking at price starting to settle down in regards to that downward pressure against the dollar, right? Starting to lose some momentum. So we'll look for see. We didn't get any pullback whatsoever, right? So you got a beautiful ABCD wave here. Okay, that was an 80-20 that played out, but we could see how we got our A to B. Here's our swing. Then we move down, right? Then we move down. Bang. Okay. And we're probably going to get that D extension. We'll see. But I've seen it make that U-turn before. All right. Seen it make that U-turn before. But let's see what happens. Here we are on the one. Okay. Here we got on the one. So if we press down and we hit that D extension, go back to that four. I don't have all my levels on the four. I don't know why that skipped over, but it took me down. But hold on one second. So we'll just pull down this level here. I skipped over my four. But we got a monthly level right at that D extension. And on the one, okay, if we come into that level, oh, it did. I'm sorry. So if we come into that level, right, we have a potential for a strong probability of an 80-20 there. Okay, right there. So, right, we start to forecast a bit, right? And we start thinking maybe it's time for that bounce, okay, as we go into the new year. See if we can make that correction play. Right? So do we, right, push and press and test that monthly level, and then we get price to rebound. All right, so that's where we are. Any questions on the dollar Swiss? Power of knowing that the price moves in waves, right? That even though we're on the downtrend, we do have temporary corrections that occur, right? That make it creates really nice plays for us, right? In the zones that we like to trade. Okay, again, if you're looking short, you need a high price, right? So you can make a large move down. So back to our 382 off that level would be just over 200 pips. To the 61.8 would be a little over 270. But then back down, right? That C to D move to that extension, right? It's about 370. Same thing over and over again. We don't do anything different. All right, so that is the dollar Swiss. We'll take a look at this dollar yen. No doubt about it. Okay, double top. Right? Higher time frame pattern. Okay, tried it once, failed. Tried it again, failed. That's a double top if I've never seen one. Right at that level. Okay, and we're breaking down. Okay, moving south. So think about it, everybody, right? How we clean this out now. Just want to look at the price action. All right. That was the previous 80-20, right? We remember that. And then just think about how we've come into, we focused on that 150 level, right? Market knows, right? That was all the talk, right? It's price, right? It's approaching that 150 level on the yen. And it's stuck there and it fought and it fought. We got above it. Okay. We got above it. Look how price slammed right back down below that 150 target. Okay. We've had that sitting there for weeks on end. And now we're moving bearish. Okay. So that 150 level was the key level. Got above it temporarily. And now we're moving back below it, right? So we write that down in our records and we remember that when it comes to this dollar yen. What happens when we get around that 150 level and we're moving south? Okay. So we are moving bearish. Okay. We are moving bearish if we come to our 4. Okay. Price worked its way to TP2. So I don't know how long ago we put that in the Discord, but hey, it's a monster swing. Right? We didn't get to that D extension. Look how it put you in drawdown, and then look what it came back and gave you. Power of the Fibonacci sequence, power of the 80-20, okay. Power of swing trading, using proper risk management, and understanding that patience pays. Okay. And that the impatient trader pays the patient trader. Any questions on the dollar yen?
No, sir.
So keep this, right? The reason why we show up here every week, right, is because repetition is the mother of all skill. Okay. From a physical perspective, and you actually doing your charts technically, doing your weekly ritual, understanding, gaining a better understanding of the fundamentals, but also visually to create the buy-in and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish, right? And that plays into your patience as a trader. Because when these trades, right? And I'm saying it because it's something that I struggle with, right? And at times still do, okay? Is that when you initially see this setup hit your zone, right? We don't see all of this, right? Because the chart moves from left to right. So we don't see the aftermath. We can't tell the future. Okay? Even though play the zone consistently, hey, it gives you an idea of what could occur, right? But it's hard when you initially come into this zone and price has been moving so strong in one direction. It's hard to buy into the fact that this price could possibly move 870 pips in the opposite direction. And for me, just speaking from my, and Ryan, you could chime in on this just from my perspective. Like, there's no way I could ever build the confidence in this scenario, these type of scenarios, without seeing it on a regular basis and putting in the work.
It's a must. It's a must.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And just executing it over and over again. Right here. Okay. On your previous fit. Our price U-turned. Okay. Out of that zone, right, back to the 382 was over 500 pips. And then you see the D swing for over 900 pips. So now it comes down to you as a trader, right? You could either, you know, take it piece by piece, right? You can see you got some smaller waves here. You got your smaller ABCD waves that play it out on the way down, right? Because the key is knowing that this zone represents a high probability of what? A trend reversal, right? In this case, it's a correction, right? So we look at that as temporary, right? When you look at your B to C move as compared to your C to D move, if you're trading with the trend, right, then this B to C move is temporary. Even though it's an 870 pip move, that's seen as temporary, right? Unless we move all the way down and take our A out on our capital fib, and then we're looking at, hey, this is bearish, right? We got a trend direction. It takes out the A, right? Trend direction change. But this move here is temporary, right? If you're looking at this from a trend perspective, right? Up AB boundary, B to C move, that's temporary as compared to if we get a trend continuation and our C to D push, right? It's the long-term move, unless the A gets taken out and we get an overall shift, right, to the downside. Okay? It's fascinating. For sure. It would be. So that's the that's the dollar yen, right? The power of trading small. Hey, I've worked hard to develop a skill set that can pay me continuously. I don't need to put the house on a trade. I don't need to turn this into a gamble, right, and put all the money on the line because I have a skill set that can help me identify these type of scenarios over and over and over again. Okay? All right. So that's the um, dollar yen. Let's go over and take a look at gold, right? Because it's the XAU USD. So it must give us an idea that, hey, this is moving bullish. When we say that the market moves up, down, and sideways, we really mean that the market moves up, down, and sideways. Okay? You can call it whatever you want. You can call it a million different things. But ultimately, the market is moving up, down, and sideways. Um, no, no need to overcomplicate that at all, right? So this is trying to push the highs again, right? There's a trend line break, right? The latest move in a reversal. Okay. Look how clean. Yeah, I love looking at gold charts. Look how clean the break and the retest is there. The power of top-down analysis, right? Look at that. Got a memory. Market has a memory, right? So we come down to our four. Didn't that happen on the other dollar pairs that we saw? Right? That's a signal if I've never seen one in my life. That's telling me something there. That sign language is telling me something. Okay? We've been pushing along ever since. Okay? Corrections and continuation. Okay? Corrections and continuations. Look at that breakout. Now, here we are, AB boundary, right? We know that dollar's found us some support. It's a correction time. So isn't it amazing, right? What we do? Same scenario. We move down. If we continue to see dollar weakness after a correction, then we look to continue long. Okay. Do we get a bounce off our 236? Anything less than a 382? Do we then push down for a correction opportunity at 80.20? That's it. Right? That's it. That's all. When you use these fibs, right? In the way that we teach it. That's it. That's all. Right? That's all. Okay. There it is. All right. There it is. And we know, look how look how it's over and over again, right? Up, down, sideways. Look, 80-20, 80-20. AB boundary, 80-20 swing. Took out the A. Price doesn't take out the A, has no choice but to go your way. Took out the A, meaning that it went through TP1, TP2, TP3. A boundary, took it out. What do we do? What does Ryan say all the time? Flip your fib. Okay. Flip your fib. Now, now, because right, higher time frames control the lower time frames. Smaller waves on your lower time frames. Larger waves on your higher time frames. Guess what? Correction was moving down, but now it's taking out the A to the upside. Now we're starting to get what? Stochastic alignment. I mean, fib alignment throughout your time frames. Right? It's moving up. 4 hour. We were moving down on the correction on the 1 because we had a large correction on the 4, larger wave that was pushing price down. See how I took out the A? Because we got a deeper correction on the 4. But deeper correction, 618786, right? Larger wave. That deep correction within the 4 hour AB boundary did what? It caused a deeper correction on our 1 to where it took out our A. See, this is our A. This is our B. This is our B here. There's spatial intelligence, right? The market is fractal. Here's our B, AB boundary, deep correction on the 4, took back 78%, boom, took it out. But then look what happens. It reversed. Now that C to D push is occurring on the 4, and guess what? Now our fibs are right back in alignment. Okay? It's amazing. Okay? It's amazing. So let's see on the 15. What do we have? So we've got things starting to correct. Check this out just to give us some clarity on what's going on. Okay. So here we are at 80-20 on the 15. Right? So we're looking for this price to work its way back down. Isn't it amazing how we saw the DXY in the very beginning, right? Starting to find some support, and now we see price reacting. So, right, here's our 382, our 61.8. Questions on gold?
No, sir.
Nope. All righty. All righty. Can everybody still hear me okay? It's telling me I've got a connection.
You breaking up a little bit.
Good. Okay. I didn't hear you, Ryan.
You breaking up a little bit on my end.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me now, Ryan? Or is it still breaking up?
You sound better now.
Better now?
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. Well, we're about to wrap things up here shortly. So 7:30 anyway, we'll wrap this session up. I'm not sure what's going on with my internet connection. Ryan, anything before we close things out?
No, sir. Great session, bro. Great session.
Appreciate it. Well, hey, that's it, everybody. We're gonna wrap it up because I don't know what's going on with my internet. It keeps going in and out. But hey, appreciate all of you being here with us, hanging in there. No session tomorrow morning, right? But we will be back Saturday for the weekly ritual. Hey, to get those charts marked up as we head into the new year. So everybody enjoy the rest of your day and make sure, right, as we say oftentimes from our great mentor, don't just count your pips, count your blessing. See you guys Saturday morning. Have a good day.